I still remember the cold, sharp sting of their words, those relentless jabs that echoed in my mind even now, years later. "You're wasting your time," my father said, voice dripping with sarcasm. "You think you're going to do what? Play in the dirt and call it science? That's for kids, not a real career." My mother just shook her head, lips pressed tight, as if she was trying to swallow her disappointment. My siblings laughed, calling my dream ridiculous, impossible, a joke. They told me I'd fail, that I was an embarrassment to the family, a black sheep with delusions of grandeur. Back then, I was just a stubborn kid with a vision, a spark that refused to die out despite the relentless mockery. I told myself I was destined for something different, something meaningful, even as the world didn't see it yet. When I chose microbial ecology, an obscure, unconventional field, I knew I was diving into waters others wouldn't understand. I wanted to heal what humanity had broken, the soil, the ecosystems, the very foundation of life on Earth. But to my family, it was mere mud play, an eccentric obsession that would amount to nothing. And so I buried myself in my work, often in isolation. I faced setbacks, the skepticism, the outright dismissal, the betrayals. Remember that day like it was yesterday. A prominent museum director falsified artworks, and I exposed the scheme, only to be publicly humiliated by art historians and critics who called me naive and reckless. My reputation shattered. I was branded a troublemaker, a fool. For a while, I felt defeated, like I'd been cast aside for daring to believe in something more than their narrow-minded judgments. But beneath that despair, something fierce ignited. I refused to let their words define me. I immersed myself in soil microbiology, studying the tiny life forms that could heal barren lands. The work was grueling, isolating, often thankless. Peers mocked me as playing in mud, dismissing my efforts as pointless. But I knew, deep in my bones, that I was onto something revolutionary. Years passed, the world changed, climate crises worsened, farmlands turned to dust. Cities faced the consequences of neglecting nature's tiniest architects. Slowly, I started to see the fruits of my labor. Restoring degraded soil, nurturing microbial communities. These were not trivial pursuits. They were the key to rebirth. I discovered microbes that could revitalize dead patches of earth, turn dust into lush greenery, restore life where hope seemed lost. And then the breakthrough came. I founded my company, Ecobiome Solutions, dedicated to ecological restoration through soil microbiology. We transformed desertified lands into thriving ecosystems, made barren rooftops bloom, even revived wetlands thought beyond saving. Our methods gained recognition. Major environmental agencies needed what I offered, and I watched my small, unconventional dream grow into a force that could truly change the world. But the real test, the ultimate moment of truth, was still ahead. I decided it was time to return home, to face the ghost of my past, to show my family what I had become. I booked the trip, heart pounding with anticipation, a mix of nerves and a stubborn hope that they would finally see who I was now. When I arrived, my family's faces were a mosaic of skepticism, curiosity, and something darker, doubt, perhaps regret. I could see their eyes flickering over my modest luggage, my confident stance, the way I carried myself. I was no longer the scrawny kid who played in the dirt. I was someone who had built something meaningful. The day of the reveal arrived. I took them to a site I had transformed, a once barren hillside, now a lush green sanctuary. I watched as their eyes widened, disbelief creeping across their faces. I pointed out the thriving native plants, the vibrant soil teeming with microbial life, the insects buzzing happily. life reborn from what they once ridiculed as just mud. Suddenly, my father's jaw clenched. His eyes searched the landscape, then flicked to me. "How?" he began, voice trembling. My mother's face softened, but her eyes welled with unshed tears. My siblings looked stunned, silent. I stepped closer, heart pounding. "This is what your skepticism almost kept me from achieving," I said quietly. "All those years you told me I was wasting my time, that I was an embarrassment. Look what I've built. This isn't just a patch of green. It's proof that even the smallest life forms, the ones you mocked, can restore a world." A long silence stretched between us. I saw the flicker of recognition, regret, pride. I wasn't sure. But I knew this moment was mine to claim. The very people who had once dismissed my dreams now stood witness to my victory. Tears welled up, and I felt a wave of emotion, relief, validation, and a profound sense of purpose. I realized that their ridicule had fueled my resilience. Their doubts had sharpened my focus. I had turned rejection into redemption, failure into triumph. In the days that followed, my family didn't just see my success, they saw me differently. They saw that perseverance, passion, and unwavering belief in oneself can turn mud into miracles. That sometimes the so-called ridiculous dreams are the ones worth chasing against all odds. And as I left that hillside, I carried a deep, unshakable truth. The smallest microbes, the quietest efforts, the ones dismissed as play, can be the most powerful catalysts for change. Our scars, our failures, they are merely the soil in which new growth begins. I stand here now telling you, never let anyone define what's worth fighting for. Because what seems insignificant to the world might just be the seed of your greatest victory. And someday, if you stay true and relentless, you'll return, stronger, wiser, triumphant, and the world will see what you've become. And that, my friends, is the real restoration.